What's up, Diabetes Daily Hustle? Welcome to Monday's vlog. Wow. What was that?
Feeling so good right now, as if everything I'm saying understood right now. Usually I'm all biz, preoccupied with shoulds, but now brother playing with some coulds right now. See, I could just dial up the smile I ain't seen in a while, fuck, or have a night on the town. Shucks, I love options, good life now.
It's showtime. What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Diabetes Daily Hustle. I am your host, J. Cole. No, I am your host, Ali ABDUL-Kareem. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is the next day. It's about like 5 o'clock right now. And I figured this week I'm not going to do the daily vlogs where I wake up and say, hey, what's up, guys? Here's my blood sugar. Here's what I'm eating. I'm working out. I understand that gets repetitive. And yeah, I'm trying to figure my way out. So what I'm going to do this week is bring you guys just content, like information, and be like, all right, so today's topic is blah, blah, blah. Tomorrow's topic is J. Cole. No, but today we're going to talk about everything I use for all my, what you can say, diabetes tools, the insulin, what CGMs, where I inject, how I inject, basal insulin, why is there a needle in my ear, what else, let me think, where do I put my dexcom? I'm like repeating the things because it's really basic on what I do, but I'm going to answer all the questions on what I do, how I do, and then tomorrow's segment, which I filmed today, very confusing, I know. I'm going to show you guys how I like dose for my workouts and try to keep my blood sugar leveled for someone who strength trains. Okay, I'm getting off topic. Let's start off with this. Cheers, Jamaica, low carb, stevia. So let's start off by saying I am going to hit 4 years living with type 1 diabetes in November. Yeah, I think I'm right. I'm not really 100% sure. I don't have an exact diagnosis date, but it's around that time after my birthday. I've been eating low carb for a good maybe 2.5, maybe 2 years solid. Prior to that, I was kind of flexible dieting, just trying to get in good shape like these guys over here. I don't know if you can see them. And I follow this man. Yes, very political, I know. Doctor Bernstein. I say political for those of you who don't know because a lot of people disagree with his ideology of diabetes care, which is extreme ideology, and I respect that and don't feel like getting into that. But nonetheless, what kind of basal insulin do I use? I use Tresiba Ready. If you want to know how I use it, I vlogged my first 3 days with it and dedicated that whole segment to it. I'll try to link it below, or you can just search Tresiba Day 1 on YouTube and I'll pop up and you can see my face going. So the way I use Tresiba insulin, I don't do 1 shot a day because that's how standard is taught. You take all your required basal in 1 shot, close your eyes, hope for the best. It's not that great. A lot of people do that, and a lot of people would think that's wrong of me to split basal insulin, or no, this works for me. What you're essentially doing is you're taking a bolus basal. You're taking so much basal that it's turning into a bolus. And I'm not just saying that at the moment. What happens is we force basal insulin to act longer than it's supposed to. Manufacturers write down and they say that basal insulin is supposed to last 24, 12 hours, whatever they write. It's not true. For most people who follow Doctor Bernstein and most type 1s that are insulin dependent, Tresiba at bedtime lasts about 6, 7, maybe 8 hours if you don't take a large dose. A dose that will just cover you through sleeping. And then your morning shot, I take 4 a.m., will last you about 18, 12 hours. It's just weird how it works. I've basal tested like plenty of times. I've seen that works for me. I can do the same thing with Levemir or Atlantis, but I would need to take 3 shots a day because what I do is I don't take a large dose that's going to basically last me longer. And if I take a large dose that's going to last me so long, my levels are going to be inconsistent, highs and lows. I want to keep a flat rate if I'm not eating. That's the point of basal insulin. So yes, I am MDI user. A lot of people like are like begging for me to use a pump, which will probably come up very soon. I don't mind the needles. They're fine. They're so fine that they're sharp. That was very cheesy. The needles don't really hurt me. I find needles better than using flex pens. I don't use the needle here. I put the syringe in here. Thumbnail time. In there, take the insulin out of there, because basically flex pens, pen needles lead to a lot of insulin leakage. We could be missing a lot of insulin. They're uncomfortable because they're so short in there. It's like, did you go in? No, did you not go in? That's what she said. That is how I do basal insulin. Bolus insulin, let's go over to the window. Keep all my insulin, open insulin too, in a fridge. This is my unopened insulin. Here's Novolog right here. That's my main weapon of choice. And then I keep some of my syringes in here. That's old, I don't use that. And novolin, we'll talk about that right now. The reason I started novolin a while back is when I first learned about Dr. Bernstein. He recommended novolin for most of his patients because eating a low carb, high protein diet, the way most low carb foods, or you could just say protein foods, work is everything spikes our blood sugar, including protein, so you need insulin for that. So what happens is protein has like a slight rise in our blood sugar. I don't know if that was a good demonstration of a blood sugar spike in protein. And basically what his ideology or his strategy was to match the exact peak, and they kind of like even out. And the point of basically what he calls the law of small numbers is if you dose a small amount and eat a small amount of carbs, your margin for error is very, very, I guess, how do you say that? Basically, if you make a mistake, it won't be that catastrophic. It won't be like, oh my God, my blood sugar is 280 or I'm 180 or something. You'd be like, oh, I'm 120 or 140, shoot, you know, I'm off by a unit. I took 3 units. And like basically, goal is to stay under basically low 100s, under 100, and 80s is the goal right here, okay? So novolin I stopped using because it's not potent enough for me. Even though I eat low carb and high protein, I still need to take Novolog. That thing is more potent. Maybe down in the future when I lose body fat and become more insulin sensitive, I can use novolin, because novolin, it's beautiful. The way like the peak works, like look at the artwork, man, it's so nice. Syringes. Okay, let's move on. Are you getting tired of me yet? Hit the like button. So for low blood sugars, I try to use tablets. These are about like $8, and each tablet says it's 5, but my friend, shout out to Brian, says it's 4. A lot of people in the diabetes space, maybe you guys watching, always talk about juice boxes way more because people think it's faster. I don't know, but what I'm reading should be right. Glycemic index is a chart of basically how fast foods raise blood sugar, and dextrose, or you can just say glucose, is 102, and fruits and honey and all that stuff, it's like 90s or low 80s. It's like, okay, obviously this one's faster. I want my hypo to last shorter. Like I don't want it to last as long. I want to be back in range quickly. And using tablets and using the law of small numbers, which is dosing less insulin, you don't need 12, 15 carbs, which is the 15 carb rule. Like even if you do, those people have goals to be above 120. That makes sense. If you have a goal to be in the low 100s and 90s, 80s range, 4 carbs for me, or maybe 8, rarely, I'll need to get me back in range. Next up, dexcom. G5 is what I use. I've had it since March 2018. Very grateful to be in a country, in a place that I can basically access this through medical, I don't know. And for those of you who don't know, Dexcom is a continuous glucose monitor system that checks your blood sugar through a Bluetooth device. Here's where I have mine. It's time to get sexy. Basically, upper thigh area is very comfortable for me, and I find that readings are better than when I used to have it right here. And there's actually spots that are ugly. I know I'm not really like the fashion kind of person, but when it comes to like Dexcom, I was like, I want to look fly where my Dexcom is. I don't want it like a pimple somewhere, you know? And I do like showing it off, don't get me wrong, But how do I do dexcom? Well, I keep my sensor spot for 2 weeks. The first week, nothing on it, just the white adhesive thing by itself, and then I apply a skin grip, this thingy, and that lasts me another week. I've done 5 weeks with my first time using dexcom. Not recommending that. We're coming to an end, guys. What else do I do? There's a lot of things I wish I could talk about diabetes. I can go on for days. I don't want to make this too long, but if you guys have questions, please drop them in the comments below. If you guys like these with the vlogs versus the vlogs, then I don't mind doing them. Syringe game, what up? Actually, I don't want to do that. Oh shit, what else do I? What meter do I use? Encore for the contour. That's what I use, guys. This thingy, it's not pretty. Don't really care. And then when I check my blood sugar, I always use these. I don't use the inside of my fingers, as you can tell. They're very clean. This, not so much. Well, you can't even really tell. Obviously, having dexcom, I check my blood sugar less, but not significantly less. I don't go like, oh, dexcom for life, baby. I'm bringing Dixie back. Yeah. And then I usually keep my syringes in the pouch pre-filled because I don't take the whole vial with me. There's a huge chance that, you know, if anything overheats, I would rather have one syringe overheat versus the whole vial. Tresiba stays room temperature always for me. Keep it by my okay, I take my bedtime shot at 10 p.m., which is 11 units. Take my 4 a.m. shot. I set like 3 alarms to wake up for it, and hopefully having a pump, that would be pretty good, but I need to like hustle a lot to get my rates right. 4 a.m. for my 6 unit shot, and I found that my levels are pretty flat when I basal tested. Maybe I need to fine tune coming up soon, I don't know, but appreciate you guys watching. Seriously mean. I hope you're having a good day, a good week. It is Wednesday your time. I will see you in the next vlog. Goodbye.